Robert Plank Show episode 217, Facebook ads. The secrets to image ads, retargeting, video engagement, and live streaming with Emily Hirsh. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Robert Plank Show. This is the Internet Marketing Podcast where we talk about making money, and our guest is Emily Hirsh. And Emily is a leading Facebook ad manager and sales funnel strategist. She and her team are dedicated to taking the stress out of scaling your online business, developing systems, managing implementation, and streamlining the strategy to significantly grow your business. This allows you to fully unleash your zone of genius as you and your business continue to evolve. Now, Emily has over 5 years of experience in the online business world, and she's grown her virtual assistant business and Facebook ad consultancy to multi-six figures and launched a highly successful online fitness business with her husband. Awesome stuff. Emily, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm super glad that you're on. And so we read a little bit about your bio. So could you tell us more about what kind of business you have? Like you manage Facebook ads and you do sales funnels. So what kind of things interest you these days?
Well, the marketing really interests me the most. And so I started my business and I was pretty much just a virtual assistant when I started years ago. And since then, really moved more and more to the marketing, and now 100% that's what I do. It's either sales funnels around a specific launch or an evergreen funnel. I love the marketing myself, and then I have brought in a team of people to support me in all the pieces because I continue to see the need for entrepreneurs that they needed kind of like a one-stop shop. You want a sales funnel, but you don't want to have to go find the copywriter and the designer and plug all the pieces together, and you need the strategy as well. So that's what I really enjoy doing is the strategy. I love learning and really being ahead of the curve on the marketing as it's always changing, and I'm known for trying something different on Facebook and not just following, the gurus, because by the time they put it out there, everybody else is trying it. So it's really big to stay in front of that and really try and do what's next. So that's what I love doing and learning. So I myself in my business do all the strategy, and then I have support around me for a lot of the implementation.
Awesome. And I like your story, and I've heard of that a few other times about people who, instead of just jumping right into something, you try yourself out first as a virtual assistant and figure out what kind of things you're good at, what kind of things kind of interest you. You get the lay of the land as far as like you said, like the copywriting and different things that I know that I need. And then once you kind of, that played itself out, then you kind of moved into, now that you've done the stuff yourself, now that you yourself have done the tasks, now you can have your team kind of do those things for you instead.
Exactly. Yep. And I oversee the strategy. That's what I really enjoy doing.
Awesome. And so you mentioned that you like to kind of stay on the cutting edge and you like to try out new things. And so, what sort of is cutting edge these days as far as paid ads and Facebook and stuff like that? What have you been, what kind of new things have you been doing in those areas?
Yeah, so I can tell you a couple of things that have just been coming up in even the last few days, few weeks that I've been testing that work really well. One of them is a lot of people, when they go to make Facebook ads, they'll create an image and they'll put text and they'll design it maybe in Canva, or maybe they actually have a graphics designer, whatever it is, and then they put, free training, sign up on there. And I've been testing and playing with doing just plain stock photos that are super, they fit in the newsfeed, but they grab your attention with no text on them at all. And they've been doing really well. And I think it's something different because people kind of got used to, especially when you're in the B2B and you're targeting other entrepreneurs online, you have to be really competitive and really stand out because there's so many masterclasses and webinars and PDF guides, and they know what a funnel is. So it's a lot harder to grow your list and to really grab people's attention with Facebook ads. And so that's something I've been playing with, is even using an image that maybe if you were to read the copy, you wouldn't say, oh, that I see why they use that image, but instead it grabbed their attention. Maybe it's like a beautiful beach or something like that, and just playing with that. And it's going really well when I've tested it. So that's something to consider. The other thing is Facebook's rolled out some new features themselves on retargeting your engagement on your Facebook page. So the first one that they did a couple months ago was retargeting people who have watched any of your videos that are on your Facebook fan page. So that means if you've done a Facebook Live, if you've uploaded a video, you can actually create audiences in Facebook based on how much they've watched. So 10 seconds, 25%, 75%, and it pulls an audience of people. So that's been really powerful to use because, again, if you're in that B2B space, it's super competitive. So if you can be running ads to your webinar or your opt-in and it's to people who have watched you on video, you'll probably get a lot better conversion rate. And then in the last week, I don't think everybody has this feature yet, but they will soon. Facebook is letting you create audiences for people who have engaged on either your ads or your Facebook page posts. So liked it, commented it, shared it. And that's really valuable because they've, seen you, taken a chance to engage, and you can actually create an audience to target those people. So those are two things that are really making it that you want to do. You can't just go create an audience. You have to be a little strategic. So maybe you have a webinar coming up. So you do a couple live videos, you turn those into ads, and then you create an audience of everybody who watched that, and then you run ads to them to get on your webinar, and you'll get a lot better conversions. You kind of have to think outside the box like that. Put yourself in the mindset of the people you want to attend, and how are you going to stand out?
Awesome. So lots of good stuff in there, and what I like the best is that you kind of started off listing those things by mentioning that you were playing around with ads, and I've seen those kind of graphics where like there's like a stock photo and there's like their own fancy graphics on top, or even like you said, like the stock photo will kind of relate. And so what you're saying that has been working well for you recently is just having a weird, random, but attention-getting stock photo that might not even have anything to do at all with the offer, or might not even have any text on that, just a stock photo to kind of get attention on the ad, and then there's the text there. And then the other stuff that you were mentioning about like the retargeting and about the narrowing the audience, like I don't know, like I kind of played around with Facebook ads like years ago, and then I didn't look at it at all for a couple years, and now me and my business partner are kind of getting back in it, and I'm hearing a lot of like the strategy for a lot of this is to run some ads and like intend on losing money, and run some ads just to kind of get that engagement, right? Get the video views or get the likes, and then or even get a few clicks, and then people are ramping up their ads and putting a lot of their focus into the retargeting part. So it's sort of like, everyone says that people don't click off of Facebook, or that it's being crowded, and it sounds to me like the solution for all the overcrowdedness is this whole get the audience narrowed down, and then just run the big ads, or the big budget ads to these people who have responded already or been engaged already. So is that sort of on the right track as far as what the strategy should be?
Yeah, you're basically building a warm audience for your own business of people who are interested. A while ago, a lot of people were encouraging you, and I don't know if you heard this, but to run ads to a blog post, and then put your pixel on there and then retarget those people. So it's the same idea as that, but it's a little bit cheaper of a solution, and you can still do that. And I would still retarget your website traffic and your blog post traffic. So it's the same idea, but it's another way to do it is the video engagement. And I think video, especially with Facebook Live being so popular and cutting edge, is really a great way to connect with people. I mean, I get clients myself all the time just from doing Facebook Live. They're like mini webinars, honestly. And it's a great way to connect with people. So if people have seen you on video and you delivering good content, they're much more likely to then opt in and see what else you have.
Awesome, and Facebook Live really interests me too, and I've been starting to mess around with that. So I mean, sort of, let's talk about that. So you said that you run these Facebook Live sessions, and you've gotten coaching clients from that. And so I mean, like, what kind of live videos are we talking? Like, what kind of length, and what's the topic?
I do all types of topics. Mostly I try to answer questions that I'm asked. I want them to be super valuable. And here's kind of what my thinking on the length. So at first, when I started doing them, I thought, nobody really watches a long video, so they should be like 5 minutes or less. But actually, you want to deliver a ton of value in the beginning. But if you kind of keep them a little bit longer, you'll get more viewers and more engagement. And that means next time you go do a video on Facebook, you'll probably get more viewers because Facebook will be pushing your video out there more. So what I mean by that is, like, it's okay if you deliver value up front and then you keep kind of talking, you do Q&A, whatever, and you push it to 15, 20 minutes long, which seems really long. But that way you get a lot of views when you're live, your engagement is really high. And then if somebody wants to watch the replay, you delivered all this value right up front. So if they only watch 5 minutes, they're still getting tons of value. So it's kind of like you're getting both there by giving a ton of value. You don't have to watch a lot to get it. You're not talking on and on, but then you're also staying on to answer questions, and you're staying on longer, which means more people are going to pop on your video and see you, because Facebook, as you are live, Facebook will start like pushing your video out. You'll get these like notifications, we're notifying people or whatever, and you'll see people start coming on if they get a newsfeed notification or whatever. So that's kind of what I've been playing with for length. And I actually originally have seen Chalene Johnson do that a lot, where she does like 10 minutes of content and then she does at least another 10 minutes of Q&A or just talking, but it's getting people on, interacting with her. And I think that's key. For me, as far as topics, I do a lot of like, are you doing this in your Facebook ads? Or I'll share something I've seen in a launch that works really well, tips on funnels. So it's obviously like around my specialty and what I want to get clients for. But a lot of times I will also put a link in my Facebook Live to book a consult call with me. And that will get me a lot of bookings. Or I'll even get Facebook messages after I do a live video that somebody was intrigued by what I was talking about and they want to sign. And so honestly, if I had more discipline, I would be doing them almost daily, because they're a great way to interact with people.
Awesome. And yeah, like as far as the like the length of some of those live videos, like when the live stuff first started, I was kind of looking at different people who were running them, and I thought, like, yeah, it's kind of along the same lines, like, geez, why am I going to go for 10 or 20 minutes? But I noticed that as a viewer, like I might scroll through and I might like listen to someone for a couple of minutes, but I noticed also that like if I start following someone, then I'll kind of treat it almost like a podcast. Like if someone live streams for 10-20 minutes a day, I'll just kind of start it going and I'll just have it on in the background, or I'll take a walk. And I've been surprised that even though it's Facebook, even though it's supposed to be ADD central, I've really noticed that on a lot of this live stuff, I've been pretty consistent as far as watching people's live streams and things like that.
Yeah, and I think especially if you are consistent as as like me, if I'm consistent with my lives at the times and when I do them, that's even more valuable, because then people will come on live and expect it. So something I recently did was in my Facebook group when I was launching my own program. I did 5 days of live video at the same time every day for 5 days, and I was launching, so I treated them as mini webinars. I did 10 to 20 minutes of content, and then I pitched my program every day at the end. And that was probably the best thing I did in my launch, to be honest, because it was like a bunch of mini webinars, which webinars we all know are super powerful if you can get people on them. And by being really consistent in delivering value and hearing me deliver the value, then offer the program, people really did like that, and they bought. And I was consistent with the 5 days. I gave people the topics we're going to talk about. It was very structured, but it was a live video in my Facebook group, and people were on there asking questions, and it was really great. So I think it's a good way to interact. I see them as mini webinars. You do the content, and then at the end you kind of do a little pitch, whether it be for your product or maybe it's to get on a call with you, whatever it is. You're just, visibility is all what it's about.
Yeah, and I like the way that you're thinking about that like it's a mini webinar. It's not just a 10 or 20 minute talk, it's a mini webinar. And what I like about that is, like sometimes if I plan on doing any kind of video or any kind of stream or anything for X number of minutes, it's really easy to get off topic or not really, know if I'm going to go too far under or too far over. But since you have that sort of mini webinar structure and you say, okay, well, 10 minutes of content, 10 minutes of Q&A or teaching, at least that way it kind of crams a lot into that short amount of time, it sounds like.
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
And so you mentioned that, well, a couple of things. You mentioned that you will stream to a Facebook group. Did I hear you right? That you'll stream to a group and not a page, or will you share it around, or what's the deal there?
Yeah, so I do both. I have a couple different followings. So I have my entrepreneur followers who are looking for sales funnels, Facebook ads, and I'll definitely do that publicly on my page, and then I'll share it on my personal page as well. And then I also have a Facebook group because I have a virtual assistant academy that basically teaches people how to be a virtual assistant. I recently launched it. So I have a Facebook group of virtual assistants of about 600 people. And so I'll do specific lives in that group. And I've actually, after my launch, committed to doing them weekly, Wednesdays, 8:30 Pacific time, because I really saw the value of setting a time, treating it like a webinar, setting a time, being consistent, telling people ahead of time what the topic's going to be so they can come with questions. I see that value in my group a lot because it's just a way for me to quickly interact with the people in my group. It was great during my launch. So during my launch, I did it in my group. I encouraged everyone to join my group, as they're opting in. I think it's an even more intimate way to connect with your Facebook group. And as, the admin of a Facebook group, you definitely want to utilize the fact that you've grown this community and be that community leader by delivering content and connecting with people, allowing them to just hang out with you virtually, ask you questions, get to know you. Because even if you're not launching, when you do launch and they've been following you like that and they've been let into your life and seen what you're all about, they're going to be way more likely to buy from you.
Awesome, and I completely agree. And so, these live streams, and you stream them to to these places for different reasons and stuff like that. And so, I mean, and you mentioned also that you'd like to broadcast at like the same day of the week or the same time of day or some kind of consistency. That way, people know to show up, and you mention ahead of time what the topic is. And so, along the lines of getting more people to show up, what are you doing? Like, you have it on the same day or the same time, but other than that, are there any secrets to getting a lot of people to show up and view your live streams?
Well, definitely when you are live, encourage people to share. So that way they can share with their friends. So like at the beginning of your live, you can tell people as they're hopping on, if this is something you think your friends would benefit from, make sure you share it. That way you'd reach more people. So that's what you can do when you are live. And then if you go live on your public page, even if you haven't planned it before, you can post, an hour before and say, I'm going to go live and talk about this at 10 a.m. Pacific time or whatever it is, to try and get people on there. And then I think, you can also encourage people at the end if you want engagement, because the way the Facebook algorithm works is if you have more viewers, more comments, more likes, more shares, they're going to push it out into the newsfeed more. When you see like your friend liked this video or commented on this video, you want that to be happening. So it's all about engagement. So encourage people when you're on their live to be liking and hearting or whatever your posts and commenting, so that it comes up in the newsfeed more for other people. Maybe they're not even your friend and it will pop up in somebody's newsfeed and they'll see it. So I think that's really important for when you actually are live. And then if you can, just prepping people that you're going to go live. Maybe you even do a post on your personal page and say, I'm going to go live on my business page in an hour and talk about the top Facebook ad strategies today or whatever, just to kind of give people a little heads up. And then when you are live, encourage people for that engagement.
Awesome. So lots of good stuff in there, right? Like when you're live, tell them to like it and share it. At the end, tell them like it and share it. Post an hour before you're going to go live, and even post on your personal page and things like that. And so after you have your live stream, I mean, are you running any kind of paid ads to recording of a live stream as well?
Yeah, I have done that before. If it's strategic, like with the topic. So that's basically a way you could build that warm audience that I was talking about. It has to be on your business page, so you can't like do it on your public page and run an ad to it. I mean, your personal profile. But you can definitely run ads to your post that you had. You basically just you go into Ads Manager and you would create it as a post ad, or a boosted post. But it's better if you do it in Ads Manager just for the analytics and the audience freedom that you have in there. And then you can create that audience of people that have watched those videos. So that's really powerful. I would just say make sure there's a link to something in that live that has a call to action. You don't want to be wasting money running a live. At least have a link to your scheduler or to whatever you want on even if it's just to your website, just so some people have something to click on. But absolutely, I've done that, run ads to a live video for myself and for clients to build that warm audience. And the other thing you can do is you can let's say you build an audience of people who have watched 75% or more of your video. That's a lot, right? They've been dedicated. They like your content. Then what you can do is create a lookalike audience of those people and then target them on Facebook too to try and reach new people. But you're getting that demographic of people who are really interested in your content. They watched your video, a huge portion of it, and then you want to create a lookalike audience to try and reach them too. So there's so much you can do with video engagement. So it's a great thing to run ads to the lives as long as you have a strategy and a call to action in there.
Awesome. So all kinds of nooks and crannies. And so just to make sure that I'm hearing you correctly, because as I said, I'm kind of a little bit out of date as far as the Facebook ads. So like the lookalike audience, I had heard before that I guess a lookalike audience is like if you have the people who've liked your fan page, I guess it finds similar demographics and people
Hmm.
like who are kind of like that. And so if I'm hearing you right, so this whole lookalike thing for your video ads, you can narrow down people who've watched 75% of your your recorded live stream or your video that you're promoting, and then am I hearing you right in that you can then generate a lookalike audience, which is a demographic similar to those video watchers, and then advertise to them?
Exactly. Yep.
Awesome. That's crazy. I mean, all kinds
Yeah.
of new stuff coming out every week and every day sometimes. And so, sort of as we're winding this down, I want to make sure I ask you about. So you do these these live streams or these ads and stuff like that, and sometimes you say that you send people over to some kind of a scheduler to book them as clients. So can you tell them about that part of it?
Yeah, I mean that's how I have my business structured to book clients is they book a strategy call with me, a 30-minute strategy call. So basically all leads I encourage to get on the phone with me. So when I'm doing a live that's targeted to entrepreneurs, who would be my demographic to do sales funnels or Facebook ads for, then I am encouraging you to go and schedule a call. And so I'll put a link. I have a link on my website that's basically my scheduler. And that's what I will put in a lot of my lives, especially if I'm going to run an ad to them. If I was to do it to my audience for my virtual assistant, or let's say that you have a funnel that you want people opting in, then you can put a link to your opt in if it's your PDF, your video, whatever it is. So, whatever call to action works for your funnel. For me, like signing clients is the most valuable. And so, getting them on that phone call is super valuable. And I find that doing live videos does that really well. But I might put, like, for example, when I was launching, I put a link to my sales page because I was talking about that. Every day in my group, I had a link to the sales page in every live video. So anybody watching the replay or watching it could click there really easily. So it's really like what's relevant to your video and what would be the best call to action for you and your own business and your marketing techniques and strategy.
Okay, and have you noticed that like when you have the call to action in those live streams, so if you have it be like a product or a course as opposed to the strategy calls, like do you notice more response on one or the other?
Um, No, I mean it depends. I wouldn't. So unless like I was in a Facebook group with an already warmed audience, I would probably put the link to an opt-in, so that if they're a cold lead, like they're probably unlikely to buy your product just from one live video. And if they really wanted it, they would probably message you. So instead, I would put a link to the opt-in to capture that lead. And I think it just really depends on your live video and how you structured it. Like if it flows and it makes sense, you got them really excited about the content, and then the next step is for them to go and opt in to learn more. I think that you'll definitely have success. And if you don't, like, let's say you do a live video and you don't get calls or you don't get opt-ins, it's not like it's a failure because it all comes down to that visibility, and people are going to keep seeing you in their feed on live video, being shared by their friends, liked by their friends, whatever it is. So it's okay. It's just kind of like that extra step to make sure that if somebody was going to click, you captured them. I've had people not even click my scheduler, and then a couple days later they watch my video and they send me a Facebook Messenger that they would like to chat, and then I send them my scheduler. So it's really like look at live videos as the chance to deliver value, the authenticity of who you are as a business and a brand, and just like that visibility is huge.
Cool, and yeah, and it sounds like just the way that all this is sort of being described by people is that like so on Facebook it's a lot about like following them around or getting them to jump through a couple of hoops. That way you really know who you're advertising to, you really know who you're targeting.
Right, exactly. And again, like the visibility, they say that somebody has to see something at least 7 times before they really take action and buy. So by being really consistent with your content and your value and showing up in their newsfeed, you're doing exactly that.
That makes a lot of sense to me. And so, So like when you run your Facebook ads, or you look at your competitors, or you course correct the ads that are being done. I mean, do you see anyone like making the same mistakes over and over when it comes to Facebook ads?
Yeah, there's a few that come to my mind when you ask that. One is with the testing. There's a couple different things. So you really want to separate out your ad sets where you do the testing, so the audiences and the images as much as possible. So I see a lot of people who put like 10 or 15 options. Let's say they're targeting Brendan Bouchard and Gina DeVee, and they put them all in one audience. And it makes this huge, massive audience that they're targeting. Well, the problem with that is, number one, it's probably way too big. You want to have your audience be about 1 million potential reach. And so if you put all those, it's too many options. And then the other thing is, let's say you have 5 to 10 in there, and your ad converts okay. Well, you don't know what page is working and what's not at all. So you could be running ads to 3 or 4 different fan pages of people who like those pages. That's a complete waste and driving up the cost of your conversion, but you don't know that because you're not separating them out. So that's like the number one thing I see is people make these massive audiences that they just go crazy, like putting in the interest for the targeting. And the same thing goes with images. If you have an ad set with, let's say, 3 or 4 images in it, Facebook will actually pick a designated winner within 3 or 4 hours of you turning your ad on, which is no time like for it to optimize. So really you're not testing, does this image work versus this image? You have to create actually a separate ad set with only one image in each one to accurately test if it's working or not. So that's another thing that people don't know is Facebook chooses on its own a designated winner way too quickly. And the final thing I'm thinking of is people don't give their ads enough time to run before making a decision. So it takes at least 2 to 3 days for your ad to fully optimize. So if you're letting your ad run and you're spending, $2 or $3 and you're like, oh, this is not working, I haven't gotten enough clicks and I'm going to change this. Well, every time you do that, you're resetting the optimization. So I say turn your ads on, have the multiple ad sets to test with the different images and the different audiences, and let them run for at least 2 days, but probably more like 3 before you really make any judgment calls or changes, because Facebook is optimizing your ad during that time. And every time you make a change, you're resetting that. And so I see people say like, oh, I spent $10 and I got terrible results. And I look at it and it's like, well, you didn't even test it to really be able to say that you got terrible results. I mean, you definitely need to have a budget to be able to test, especially if you've never done ads before, to see what works.
Interesting. So it sounds like there's a lot of little gotchas, a lot of little ways to mess up if you don't know the lay of the land, as far as like Facebook trying to correct this, or as far as waiting
Right.
those few days to see if a certain thing kind of plays out. And so sort of along those lines, where people might be getting stuck as far as Facebook ads. So is Facebook ads a sort of like done for you thing that you provide?
Yeah, so I do that all the time. I prefer to do done for you Facebook ads, which is where I will either look at what you've done or create a completely new campaign for your funnel or for your opt-in. And my team does it all. So we do the copywriting, the design of the ad. And I think that's really important, that if you are looking to find somebody to help you with ads, you find someone that not only knows Facebook ads and all the parts of that, but also knows sales funnels, because the Facebook ads are the top of the sales funnel, and ultimately everyone wants to get their ROI. So if you're running ads to an audience that might opt in for your offer, but there's no way they're going to buy your program or your product, you're just wasting money, even if you're getting those leads on your email list. So that's really what I do is look at the big picture for Facebook ads and sales funnels, and tie all those pieces together. I do done for you sales Facebook ad campaigns, and we do all the parts of the Facebook ads, because really, your funnel and your Facebook ads is the backbone of your business. Honestly, it's your marketing. It's a wonderful way to get clients, to get leads. And if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to end up wasting probably a lot of money and your time.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Like, yeah, like if one piece is bad, then all of it's bad. If the landing page sucks, it doesn't matter how good you are at the Facebook ads if it doesn't match or if there's something wrong with the landing page. So that makes a
Right.
lot of sense. And so if people wanted to take you up on that offer or see what you're about, where should people go?
So my website, emilyhirsh.com, and Hirsch is Hirsh. And if you'd like to book a call and tell me, your experience with Facebook ads, what you think you need help with, it's emilyhirsh.com/consult. And then you'll see my scheduler. You can learn more about me on emilyhirsh.com and click to book a strategy call. But that's what I would recommend, because everybody kind of has a different experience with where they're at with Facebook ads in their funnel. So if we get on the phone, we can see where you're at.
Perfect. So everyone should go right now to emilyhirsh.com, and Emily spells that as Hirsh. So emilyhirsh.com, and then to get that consultation, go to emilyhirsh.com/consult. So thanks for stopping by the show, Emily, because this whole Facebook ads thing, I mean, like you said, like it literally changes every day, and it's really easy to kind of fall down the rabbit hole of all the geek speak, but then also you don't want to be on the other extreme of kind of not having much to say. So thanks so much for sort of blending that for us, for telling us about the strategy, but also giving us some really cool cutting edge stuff. And everyone out there, if you've been frustrated with Facebook ads, if you're not doing Facebook ads, if Facebook ads are taking up too much time, whatever the reason, you should go over to emilyhirsh.com/consult and have Emily do the big picture stuff for you, do the Facebook ads, because that's how you're going to get your business going and grow your business. So thanks so much, Emily, for sharing your Facebook wisdom and knowledge. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Please take a second to rate and subscribe to The Robert Plank Show in the iTunes store. It's free. robertplank.com/iTunes.